Hello, my name is Tracy Taylor, and I am a second grade teacher here at Nova Classical Academy. And I would like to share a little bit about the importance of reading out loud to your children with you. I should mention I am a part of the lower school literacy leadership team, along with Connie Knowles, reading teacher, and Laura Burry, fifth grade teacher. And we're planning to do a parent education night about reading and how you can help your kids with reading, and especially over the summer. But as we know, we are not at school right now, so I hope you can find some helpful information in this little presentation. So aside from being a teacher, I am also a parent. So I have a 5-year-old and an almost 8-year-old. So I am in the same boat as a lot of you, trying to instill a love of reading in my own children as well as my students. But so I have a little information for you about reading and reading aloud. So why is reading so important? We know that reading is the foundation for all other academic learning. We can't learn about history and math and science without being able to read the information and access that information. Reading is fundamental not only for school, but for life, which is very, very similar to our school motto. We learn not for school, but for life. So reading opens doors and leads to opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise have if we were not able to understand language and communicate. And so reading is so important. And a love of reading is the greatest gift we can give to our children. So why read aloud to our children? Let's scoot my picture out of the way here. So before students learn the written word, before they learn the foundations of phonics and how letters and sounds and words fit together, they are listening all the time. So students' listening comprehension develops much earlier than their understanding of the written language. So, which is why we read books to our babies, and we try to talk to our toddlers and our little people all the time to help them learn the building blocks of language. And part of that is reading out loud to them. Their vocabulary is, they're just little sponges, especially when they're younger. And so to build to that and to help them by reading to them. There was a landmark study in 1985 that looked at reading research for the past 30 years. And this report that was commissioned by the U.S. Department of Education, and it is called Becoming a Nation of Readers. And they found that reading aloud is the single most important activity for building the knowledge required for eventual success in reading. And we know that students who are successful in reading become better readers, and they do better in school in general. So if you're wondering if there's one thing, what could I do to help my child succeed in school? Read to them and read with them and promote reading and let them see you reading. So by reading aloud, kind of sharing that with your child and sharing your thoughts as you read, you're helping to make the invisible processes that are happening in our brains all the time. You're helping to make those invisible connections and pieces and all the things that are happening in our brains. You're helping to make it more clear for kids. A lot of times reading can be a mystery, and it is really an amazing thing, all the things that are happening in our brains as we are reading. But by sharing that with kids and talking about what's happening in your mind, you're helping your child to understand how meaning is constructed. We read words on a page. We think about what we already know, our background knowledge. Sometimes teachers, we call it our schema. And that combination of the two is what creates meaning. And so that is really powerful stuff. That's and to let kids in on that mystery is so powerful and empowering for students and for kids. And when students succeed in reading, we know that they have a much higher chance of succeeding in other academic areas. So if there's one thing that you can do to help your child it's reading to them. All right, so the benefits of reading aloud. Let's see, I'm going to scoop myself out of here again. So entertainment, enjoyment. It's fun to read books and to learn and to just have a good time. Vocabulary development. So by reading out loud to our kids, their vocabulary is being strengthened and broadened. I was just reading and I have some links to some information by Jim Trelease, and he is the author of the Read Aloud Handbook. It's an amazing book, but he has some brochures, and if you were at school, we would have these available for you. But I do have them linked at the end of this presentation. And Jim Trelease states that a typical kids book has 3 times the amount of vocabulary and language than just conversation. So while it's really good to talk with kids and to have discussions about all kinds of things, vocabulary development is huge. So by reading, we're exposing our children to a wide variety of words and language. So background knowledge about the world. By reading about different things, we are letting kids in on all kinds of different information, and that's really building their background knowledge that will help them to make connections and kind of have those pegs to hang learning on. And so background knowledge about the world. By reading, it is a catalyst for discussions about a variety of topics. The other day I was reading a story with my daughter about adoption, and we had a great discussion about what that is and how different families we know that have gone through that process, and just all kinds of discussion topics that you can kind of go off from by reading books with your children. By reading aloud, it provides a role model, and it's so important that we as parents let our kids know that reading is pleasurable. And when children see their parents reading, it is a powerful influence. It's almost like a little commercial or an advertisement for reading. They see their parents, that this is worth my parents' time, and it's almost like a subliminal, they get it in their brains that this is worth the time. And so we are providing an excellent role model when our kids see us reading too. Bonding and connecting with your child. So the time that you can spend with your child and sharing a book and just that time together is really meaningful and powerful for relationship building. And there's a little quote here that I'm sure you've heard before: children are made readers on the laps of their parents. So that time together is so special. And also by reading out loud, it nurtures a healthy habit that will enrich your child's life, deepen their curiosity about the world, and strengthen their little neural pathways that are all those synapses that are firing in their brains as we're reading and talking and spending time together. All right. These are just a few things that you can do to help your child understand when you're reading. And this is kind of a lot of information. This is just some of the things that are happening as we read. And like I said, a lot of times we're not even aware of all of the things that are happening, but these are some things that you might want to draw your child's attention to as you're reading. So we talk about when kids are little, print awareness. So just kind of cultivating their awareness of print. If you're reading a book together, noticing the title and the picture and the author. If there's a table of contents, a lot of times there's a summary at the back. So just kind of helping them to become aware of the different parts of a book and, captions and illustrations and chapter titles and things like that. You can definitely draw their attention to that. It's really, really helpful for them. Modeling your thinking as you're reading out loud. So, and that is something, again, to kind of take away some of that, some of the mysteriousness of reading, that you are letting them in on what's happening in your brain, and that's where meaning is created. So stopping every now and then as you are reading to model what you are thinking about. And it could just be like the next point, asking questions and wondering, wow, um, they were inventing, the Chinese were inventing gunpowder in 1850. Ooh, and they were trying, Chinese scientists were, wow, that's really, I didn't know that the scientists were trying to invent gold, and they ended up inventing gunpowder. Actually, I didn't know that because we talked about that in second grade history. But anyway, kind of modeling those questions and wondering about the world is really powerful. Making predictions, so stopping every now and then and saying, what do you think is going to happen? Things like that. And then we check our predictions, we re-predict. Noticing interesting language, so just stopping and saying, wow, that was a cool word. You know, let's see. Well, you get the idea. But, ooh, and how do I say this word? Oh, I'm going to try. Just kind of modeling what we do as readers. Connecting to characters' feelings and situations. If you're reading a fiction book, kind of thinking about, ooh, I wonder how that would feel to be that character, or has that ever happened to you? Modeling how you fix mistakes and misunderstandings. And this is so important, that we normalize making mistakes. And we all read and make mistakes, and then we fix them when we go back, and just kind of modeling that growth mindset. Just that we all make mistakes, and that's how we learn. So not beating yourself up for making a mistake, just showing our kids that, hey, everybody makes mistakes, and this is how we fix them. And that is a very normal part of reading, even as adults. Making inferences, so kind of reading between the lines, thinking about, well, that character didn't actually say that, but I think this is what he is feeling. So kind of showing kids how we draw meaning from things that are not literally stated. And then kind of determining what's important, summarizing. After we read stories, we can't remember everything we've read. So we talk about, well, what do you think is important? What do you think is worth remembering? Maybe if we could try, sometimes in school we try to make like a 10-word summary. Let's try to say what this book was about in 10 words or in a sentence or two. And that's kind of a good challenge. So again, these are just some ideas. The important thing is that we are reading and spending time with our kids. So if this list is intimidating, put it aside. And again, this is just some ideas for you. What questions should I ask? Some ideas before reading. What do you think this book is going to be about? What do we already know about this topic if we're reading about, China and the Great Wall of China? What do we already know about China? Where is it located? What do we know about the people there? What was happening in history at this time? Have we read the companion book to it? The Day of the Dragon King. Oh, and it's on the backside. So kind of accessing our prior knowledge, our background knowledge about it. What do you notice about the cover? As you're reading, of course, you can just ask questions. I wonder why, how, when, what's going to happen next. Can you describe, what are you imagining? So in my mind, this is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm picturing the character as, or the setting. Ooh, I'm imagining, and kind of describe it for your child. What questions do you have? Stopping every now and then and thinking and modeling that thinking for kids. Ooh, I'm not sure I understood that part. I'm going to go back and reread it. So modeling how we fix our mistakes. And sometimes we call that clicking and clunking. Ooh, this story is really clicking for me. Or, ooh, it's kind of clunky. I'm going to go back and reread. Has this ever happened to you? Again, did you notice interesting words? Just kind of pointing that out. And then after reading, some questions. Did you enjoy the book? What did you learn? What will you remember from this book? Would you recommend it to a friend? Why or why not? All right, and you might be wondering, well, it is almost summer. What can I do this summer? Well, I would really recommend that you and your child, that you spend some time reading each day, make it a habit, build it into your daily schedule. One way that helps to keep us accountable is to keep sort of a daily or a weekly reading log. Sometimes just by writing things down, it helps helps us stay accountable, or having a friend to check in with and say, you guys done your read aloud, or what are you guys reading lately? I know Miss Burry is going to share with us an idea for a family book club, which is an awesome idea. In my family, we try to do like a little family reading time after dinner. Again, kind of building that into our schedule. And it also just helps us to like celebrate reading and talk more about reading if we're designating a time to do that each day. Participate in summer reading programs. So Ms. Knowles is going to share with us some local libraries and what they are doing, and hopefully those will get up and running soon. Taking weekly trips to the library, which again, we hope that those will open soon. But there's also, my sister-in-law was just telling me about online thrift stores for books that she's been getting for her daughter, and I thought that was a great idea. Well, some of the libraries are doing now kind of online and drive up, pick up your books that you've requested. So we could definitely do that. And letting your kids see you reading. So this is something that is so powerful. If you are spending some time or having a little vacation this summer, make sure you yourself are bringing a book so that your kids can see you reading. And that is such a powerful influence. These are just some links and resources. A lot of them have to do with this really awesome book. It's called The Read Aloud Handbook by Jim Trelease. And it is about half of it is all kinds of information and anecdotes and stories about the power of reading with your children. So it's really a book for parents. I use it as a teacher, but as a parent, it's really powerful. So about half of it is stories and information about the power of reading and why putting these habits of reading aloud to your child are so important for their life. And then the other half of it is sort of a collection of books that you could read aloud with your family, or So if you're wondering like, oh, I've heard of that book and what is it about, there's a good chance it would be in this handbook. But he also, so Jim Trelease, he has some really great information about reading. And if you were here for our parent education evenings, which of course we're not here right now, but we're not at school. If you were here, there are a couple of brochures, with some really powerful information. 10 facts parents should know about reading, why read aloud to children, and these are linked here also. And then there's one about summer reading. So just kind of what can happen if we kind of skip out on reading for a couple months. It can be really detrimental to students in their progress in reading, and how to kind of keep it up over the summer. But more information in these links, and just a couple books for further reading. This one I already mentioned, the Read Aloud Handbook, is really great. It is now in its 8th edition. I think there's a new one. So it is extremely popular for a reason. It's got really, really great information. It's really inspiring too, as a parent, to read this. And another one that is really, has lots of really good information. It's called 7 Keys to Comprehension. And I got this as a teacher, but it really is geared towards parents, and it's parents and teachers. But it describes different things that we can do as we're reading with our kids to help them kind of unlock the mysteries of reading. And so this is a great book. And then the last one I just included, this is something that the teachers have kind of been working on a little bit this year. This is called Comprehension Connections, and it just has some different ideas for how to make some of the abstract ideas of reading more concrete for kids by using these kind of everyday objects. So this is some really good information. But if you were looking for one book this summer, I would really recommend, oops, the lights went out on me. I would really recommend the Read Aloud Handbook. And I think that is all that I have for you today. I just want to leave you with one last thing. If you are wondering, what can I do what is one thing that I can do to help my child thrive and succeed? It is to read to them and to read with them. And you'll bond with your child. You'll learn new things together. You will instill a habit that will enrich their lives. And so read, 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 and let me know if you have any questions. And thank you. And I hope you have a great summer. And bye.